Good morning, Hawaii, and welcome to Lucy's Paradise Podcast. Today I have a guest that embodies the Aloha Spirit. We have Luis Mendez.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm extremely happy and honored to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this. First of all, a lot of people don't know who you are and how we know each other. So give me a little bio about yourself and how we know each other.
Well, like mentioned before, my name is Luis Mendez. I'm from San Diego, California, and I know Lucy from the Army. We both served in the MP battalion, and I'm not too sure how we met.
Yeah, I'm not. I was like trying to think back to the specific day. One of my just like most fun memories of you is when we were hanging out actually by my pool over here.
That's what I was thinking about,
and we were playing
too.
music. I think that's just one of the times we hung out not in the military.
Yeah.
You know, and just because we had so many times that we probably like ran or had mutual friends or ran into each other in the military, and then that's when we kind of like hung out as friends, I think. So
Yeah,
that's
I don't
one
know.
of my good
I don't
memories
even
of
not
you.
even sure how that came up. I'm sure you invited me, but
Yeah, I think I just like had a bunch of like neighbors and stuff, and we always do like a little pool party and
I think that's one of the first times I actually heard you sing, like for the first time.
Oh,
'Cause
really?
you were telling me about your singing and all of that,
Oh,
and that's when
yeah.
I got excited to actually come over and jam out with you. So that was a
Yeah,
fun
well,
time.
yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. You probably didn't hear me. I always forget that like people don't know I can sing until I sing. So for those of you who don't know, I actually have music on Spotify. I actually haven't even mentioned it at all, I don't think, on any of the podcasts. Whoops. I did come out with an album. It's called Read Between the Lies. I came out with it in April 2023, I believe. And yeah, if you'd like to listen to my music, check it out on Spotify. One thing that's really cool about Luis is he plays a ukulele. And growing up in Hawaii, that's like our instrument out here. So what got you into that, actually?
So originally, I'm a violinist,
wow.
and I've been playing violin since elementary school. But come middle school, one of my very good friends, his name's Lucius Rigonnet, in middle school, he would always bring his ukulele to school. And in San Diego, that's like not a very normal thing. Nowadays it is, but
In Hawaii, that's very normal.
yeah, that wouldn't be a thing in San Diego. And when I saw that, I had no idea what it was or like what the instrument, anything about it. And I fell in love with it. I asked him to teach me. I brought it every single day. I would even borrow his until I finally bought my own. And from that day on, I was pretty obnoxious with it, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But it's only because I loved it so much. And now it's become a huge part of my life. I've been playing since middle school.
Wow.
And I play it almost every day. She comes with me every single day.
Do you have a name for her? Then?
They all have names. I have about
Oh, how many
five
do you have?
ukuleles.
Dang. Wow.
All different sizes and kinds and
Wow.
brands.
That's awesome.
But yes, they all do have names.
Very cool.
And yeah, now I'm playing just for fun at birthday parties. Every now and then I'll do weddings.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So is that something you want to do like more, is perform with the music, or is it just a hobby?
Always been a dream of mine. But
That's cool.
realistically, I think with where all of my other passions lie and where most of my time is spent, I think for now it's just a hobby.
Okay.
And something I just do for fun.
Okay. Yeah, I want to talk about a little bit more of like how you grew up in the whole lifeguarding thing. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I read the article that was written about you.
So I grew up a San Diego beach boy. Grew up going to Del Mar, La Jolla, Encinitas. If anyone's from San Diego, like you'll know all these beaches, Oside, and learned surfing from my friend who taught me ukulele as well.
Oh wow.
And I would
Where was he? Was he from Hawaii? Like
No,
who
he's
is this
from
kid?
Guam.
Okay,
actually. He's like
okay.
Guamanian and
that
Filipino.
makes sense. That
yeah.
makes sense.
And but he grew up San Diego as well, and he taught me how to surf, do all these things, and I really developed my love for the ocean in San Diego.
Wow.
And I would work with San Diego lifeguards a lot during summers, and that became almost a full-time thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I spent so much time at the beach. And after I left San Diego to join the Army, it kind of went away. My time in the water didn't. I would spend most of my time in a pool because growing up a fish, I gotta be in the water. So at Bliss, there was no ocean, of course, in El Paso. But I would spend almost every day in the pools to the point where they gave me a key
Dang,
for
funny.
the pool gym. And then when I finally came to Hawaii, I didn't know I was gonna end up helping as a lifeguard here in Hawaii. I was introduced to China Walls down in Hawaii Kai.
Mm-hmm.
And I met this man there who is there every single day, every day. One of the most loving guys I've ever met. His name's Uncle Brian Lauro. And he is there helping pull people out every single day because it's like one of the most sketchy spots in Hawaii.
Right.
And one of the days that I was there, it kind of just kicked in, like all the stuff that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my first rescue down there.
Oh my God.
And since that day, it just became a regular thing where on Saturdays I go from 11 to sunset and I'm just doing rescues. Usually I'm just there jamming out, chilling. But when rescues come up, we're there to help. Like yesterday, I just had 3 actually.
Oh my gosh. So like, did they get hurt or did they just like, they couldn't get out? Like,
majority of the time it's like people panicking. They're new to the ocean. Yeah. They're visiting. People don't know Hawaii waters, and they just, it's their first experience in the ocean, and they panic.
Ooh. Yeah, I would say first experience in the ocean, maybe don't go to China Walls. You know what I'm saying? Even me, I consider myself a strong swimmer, but you have to remember I was born and raised here. I grew up in these waters, like getting thrashed at North Shore and stuff like that. And even then, like I don't even do that kind of stuff anymore. Like my surfing will be very like 6 and under type stuff. Like, you know, because I'm just not trying to keep
it nowadays.
I'm just not trying to drown, you know? When you're born and raised here, I've had like numerous close calls and it's fun until it's not fun, you know?
Yeah.
But panicking is one of the like leading ways people actually drown. And anyone can panic, right? Even the most amazing swimmer. And I think that's the biggest challenge with swimming in current and open like swimming is if you can control that like want to panic, usually you can like, okay, keep my head above water, like, you know, these things, don't panic, you know.
That's
but
like,
there's been some traumatic things that happened to me.
Oh, I'm sure growing up here, because in San Diego, the currents and like the surf is not nearly as nuts as it is here. So.
Well, here too we have reef, so like there's a lot of different things that can happen. Like I one time my leash got stuck on the reef and I couldn't even swim to the top, so I'm like stuck. I can't, you know. And then it's like I had to like take my leash off.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah, and then it's like that you have that moment of like, dang, I'm stuck, and like if you can't like in that moment calmly do what you got to do, you can drown. Like I've almost drowned. I even swam through, I'm sure you've gone to Waimea where they have the big jumping rock is what they call it. I've swam through that rock. There's a cave. There's multiple caves. Don't recommend it, okay? Again, this is really dumb and I did this. My sister was super mad at me when I did this, but I told her that I did it and she was like super mad. And I'm going to tell you, I was at the very last end of my breath. Like I was swimming to the top and like, cause I was like, oh my God, I messed up. Like,
I've definitely been in those situations before. Those are not fun times, but
no, be careful.
Yeah, that is my biggest advice to people is,
and at least go with someone skilled.
Exactly.
I think.
Take someone that knows the beaches. And if you're going alone or if you're visiting, my biggest advice is 1, stay calm. 2, ask the lifeguards. If there's no lifeguards, ask the locals.
Right.
If there's no locals, probably just don't get in.
Well, they have this thing, right? If in doubt, don't go out.
Exactly.
And I feel like that is it enough, because I think too, we have this ability to like use our intuition, and I think there are just some days that you feel like it doesn't feel right, and I try to listen to that like throughout my life, and usually that's always helped me. Like when I had that feeling, I was just like, I'm not gonna surf today. And from what my experience from other surfers and people that are like into the water and stuff like that, like they say to listen to that.
Yeah.
So I've always tried to listen to that.
You spend
like,
enough time in the water, you just start to know.
It's not even about skill at that point. It's like sometimes the conditions are just not good.
Yeah.
Like just chill on the beach today.
Yeah, that's more than likely probably the smartest choice to do instead of getting in if you're really unsure.
Yeah, definitely. That's wild that you jumped in for 3 people yesterday.
It's become a very, I don't want to like downplay it because I do care about what I do down there, and I do care about the people that come visit, because that's one of my most, actually it probably is my all-time favorite spot on the island. And I do love when people come to see and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's become a very normal thing for me. I would say just in 2022, Uncle Brian, he keeps record of how many rescues we get per fiscal year.
Wow.
So he can report it to the Ocean Safety Department down there.
That's good.
And in 2022, for that year, we had a total of 107 rescues.
Wow.
Some days it was like multiple rescues a day.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty...
My friend actually had a really bad accident there. I can't really say recently, because when I spoke to him last summer, my buddy, my producer, and I called him up. I was in California at the time. And I said, hey, man, like, I haven't seen or heard from you in a minute. Like, where you been? And he told me that he had an accident at China Walls, and it was so bad. Some girl saved him that was in the military, put a tourniquet on him, put him in the car, took him to the hospital. He was fading in and out so bad. He doesn't remember who the person was. All he knows is they were a military person that threw him in his car and put a tourniquet on him. And they probably saved his life. And so I said, hey, man, if you ever find that person again or anything, like, let me know, you know, because, like, that's a big deal. Whatever. I mean, he was, like, obviously dying. Yeah. So he wasn't, like, getting their information. But he told me it was bad. And that's why I didn't hear from him, because I guess he has been recovering now for, like, the past however length of time his injury was. And I didn't even know that. So this is my friend Matthias, I know him from the Bay Area, and he, like, does Airbnb out there, and then now he lives here full time. And, like, just to surf. Like, he just lives here to surf.
That's nice.
But he's an adrenaline junkie. And I've gone on numerous trips with him where he's done really dumb stuff. So if anyone would have an accident, the thing is, he's the type of person that would know better. But he was like, yeah, just don't go the wrong way when you're jumping. Like, so apparently he's an adrenaline junkie. He did something dumb, and he got hurt, right? It can happen to anyone, right? He's a great swimmer.
It's happened to me.
He's fearless. But hopefully he's all right. I mean, obviously he survived that, so he's all right. But I haven't spoken to him now since this past summer, so I wonder how he's doing. But
Lord
that
willing,
happened at China
right.
Walls, and I was like, dude, that's the one place you don't do anything dumb.
I try and warn as many people as I can when I'm down there. Like, if the locals are telling you no or get off the wall or anything like that, you should probably listen. Like, don't get in your own head. They're not saying that for no reason.
Yeah. Well, I think, like, ocean tides and things, too, like, they change very quickly.
Oh, most definitely.
If you are someone who's, like, into surfing and you, like, follow a lot of that stuff, a great rule of thumb is to always watch for a while before going in, too, which I think is always wise, because you're kind of, like, seeing the pattern of, like, what the water's doing, how high it's coming up, how low it's, you know, stuff like that. And people forget about that, I think, or they get too overconfident or whatever it may be. And yeah, I'm all about, like, I'm just cruising nowadays. You know, I'm not trying to do anything crazy.
I think we're both in that point of life where we just
I'm not trying
to get hurt anymore.
I'm not trying to, like, cliff dive. I'm not trying to impress nobody. I'm not trying to make a TikTok video where I look cool. Like, I'm really, like, people started jumping off of the bridge in Wahiawa, and I was like,
that's always been a thing.
Why? It has, but with social media, I'm, like, seeing it. I was seeing it on TikTok and all this stuff, and I was like, okay, we used to, like, dare people we didn't like to do that, you know, like, so that they would get hurt. And now people are just, like, doing it, like, to be spontaneous. But the thing about it, is like that water's really nasty. So
That-
I wouldn't
I would
even
not.
I wouldn't even jump in that water. Like the ocean, I'll jump into.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's which the ocean's nasty too, but it's just it's less still.
A lot cleaner than that.
Yes. Lake Wilson's nasty. If you're in Lake Wilson, I'm judging you, just so you know.
Well, hold on. I live up there. No,
No, it's okay. Just why you gotta swim? Like swim in the other water.
I would not swim in that water.
That's what I'm saying.
You couldn't pay me enough to swim in that water.
That's what I'm saying. There was COVID in there for sure.
Oh, 100%. I was on my patio because my apartment overlooks that lake.
Oh, okay.
And I'm on that apartment complex right outside base.
Okay.
And I was out there reading one morning, and it was a really peaceful morning. And in the water, I kid you not, I have told this to some of my friends. They don't believe me. One of them does because they've seen people pull some insane things out of that water.
Yeah.
But one morning, and I'm on the 9th floor, mind you, so it's a pretty good distance. But something was swimming through that water that was causing like massive ripples. And I'm
Whoa.
like, you could see the shape of this thing from the 9th floor. I'm like, I'm never getting in that water.
There's a Loch Ness monster in the
There's
Lake
got to be
Wilson.
something
You heard
in
it
that
here
water.
first.
And
We're
it
going
was-
deep sea fishing in Lake Wilson.
And it was like 6 in the morning. Everything was quiet. Yeah, it was. I was like, there's.
I'm a huge believer in the Loch Ness monster.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt that it's real. Like that.
There's pictures of it before Photoshop was a thing. I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
about you, but that's enough evidence for
I
me.
mean, there's so much of our ocean that has been unexplored.
Yeah.
Like, how could you not discover?
Scuba diving actually scares the crap out of me.
Really?
A little bit, yeah.
I free dive, and that's. I
No,
feel
I
like,
do I do too, but like going deeper and deeper
Oh,
is different.
okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because free diving and they're cool. You like there's the bottom, and then each level it's like a level of scariness. I feel like.
Yeah.
Then you get to like Titanic level. You know that's
I
wild.
don't know about all that. That's.
Yeah.
I wouldn't dive that deep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, one of the guests I had on, Nick Zaborski, that's what he does. He dives and like down aircraft or whatever. That's it. Like he has to get all that debris out. Like he does crazy dives. That's a deep.
That's
deep
pretty
water.
nuts.
That's scary.
I think the sketchiest dive I've ever done was in the Philippines. We were all snorkeling above a shipwreck, and I thought,
Oh, that's cool.
hey, I want to go inside. And
Yeah.
they were like, no, don't do it. I was like, who's gonna stop me? So I, wanted to
The
swim through really
ghosts?
quick.
I don't know. Casper?
It'd be alright. It'd be alright.
Oh my gosh. Disturbing the spirits.
That was probably the sketchiest. But other
That's-
than that, yeah.
Let's actually. I want to talk about that. So, how long have you been in Hawaii now?
Been in Hawaii since April of 2021.
Okay, so you've been in Hawaii since then. Have you heard like the urban legends here? What do you think about them?
I
You don't believe them?
not necessarily. Only because growing up Filipino, we have a ton of our own superstition. Like
Yeah.
extremely. I feel like they've just gotten out of hand at this point. How like crazy the superstitions have gotten. But hearing the stories like that or the legends that Hawaiians have, and no disrespect to anyone that like believes them.
Yeah.
They sound very similar to that of what us Filipinos have. And I'm like, okay, so it's just another, like superstition or thing like that. But one of my friends, very good friends, terrified of these like the menehune. Anytime we go off-roading or we go to another island or the night marchers, if we're
Yeah.
out at night, me and my buddy will always bring it up and just try
Mess with them?
Yeah, mess with her. It's
Oh, it's a her. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
You guys are sweethearts.
Oh, we love her to death, and she knows it.
You just you like bring your drum to the camping thing. You just start
Oh,
pounding on it.
100%. I'll bring a cajon and just start going at it.
That's messed up.
It's probably, we probably should stop. Cause
Yeah, the spirits are mad at you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I don't. So you don't really believe in it?
I mean, I'm sure there, to some extent, there's some real, because I definitely believe in like the spiritual world and spirits being in this world. But
I say just bring some pork on the poly and see what happens. Try
you
it.
go ahead and let me know how that
No,
goes.
I know it. I know it's not good. That's why I would never do it.
Let-
I was born and raised here. Like I don't mess with them spirits, man. I believe in them offerings, so leave me alone. I be saging this place, like. Yeah, no, I don't mess with the spirits.
I believe that they're real, but I don't know. My beliefs are firmly founded in like, I grew up Christian, grew up believing in God, so that like I feel pretty protected, confident in knowing what.
Oh yeah.
Knowing with who I believe in, like I'll be
I'm protected too, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna go swim in shipwrecks, and knock on their graves.
I went in and then out. That was it. I didn't like go whole deep dive, mess with everything
You're
inside.
like, good guys. Yeah.
But yeah, that was probably the sketchiest dive, and I'll leave it at that because I won't try anything else sketchy nowadays aside from
that's pretty
China
cool.
walls.
Yeah. That's different than a shipwreck though.
Yeah.
But the shipwreck's kind of cool. Yeah, I definitely want to get more into diving. But okay, so you've been here since 2021, so you've been on island. Dang, I feel like it's been longer.
I've been getting that a lot from people nowadays, and it's funny. A lot of people at my church are just now realizing, I've been attending that church since 2021, are just now realizing that I'm not local. And I'm like, what about me?
Well, it's because you're Filipino.
Yeah.
And like, so that's probably why.
But I've been
And
getting
you're
a
walking
lot
around with
nowadays.
a ukulele, so it's like
Yeah.
you're practically local. You know, Honey Baby on ukulele, and you're a local.
Is that the qualifications? So I'm local now.
You got to know the intro at least. If you know the intro, you're fine.
Oh, then I'm good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's funny, but I feel like that's really common. Just like even if you're not technically a local, if you like have some like Asian mix or something, or I feel like some people have like a way about them, like after being here for even like a year, where they kind of pick up like the local mannerisms. You kind of are like more considered local than anything else, Or do you think you're gonna stay on island?
Oh, definitely am.
Oh, really?
This is
Nice.
definitely
So this is home
become
for you?
home. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Granted, I still love San Diego. I'll always go back to visit my family and my friends.
Right. Yeah, I
But
love San Diego.
It's definitely an amazing city.
Yeah.
But this has definitely become home for me.
Oh, that's awesome. Good. Well, I'm glad you're gonna be here, because
I am too.
Here. Yeah.
It's like the more I've been thinking and praying about it recently, the more excited I've gotten, because
Good.
at first I was worried because I love the Army.
We were talking about that.
A lot of people won't say that, and you know that. Like, a lot of people won't say I love the Army.
Yeah.
I genuinely do, only because of the experiences I've had, the people I've been able to mentor and see grow. Like, that's the reason I love the Army. But I was a little nervous about deciding to get out,
Right.
but now I'm pretty sure like this is
the right choice for
this
you?
is the right choice to get out and make this my home.
I think with the Army, there are a lot of things to love about it. I think you and me are probably similar in like our love for like our country and like our love for like serving other people and like doing good. So I think those things definitely like attract us to something like the military, where we can use our leadership to like help other people
Most definitely.
get their goals and stuff like that. But in terms of like getting out or staying in, I think a lot of people hesitate because some people don't have talents outside of leadership skills.
This is all they know.
So in a lot of ways, or they join the military so young that all the skills that they learn is really because of the military.
Yep.
And then they can't really imagine like, what else am I going to do outside of this, when all of the skills and schooling or whatever it may be was really geared towards that job position, right? Because you and me were both MPs.
Yep.
And even me training and doing all the stuff I was doing for the SWAT team, now that I'm out and I'm not in that world anymore or in law enforcement, even you can even look at like what I'm doing as like, okay, what am I going to do now? You know what I mean? Obviously I have different talents and abilities, but not everybody has that, So I think some people, it leaves them feeling stuck.
Oh yeah, most
And
definitely.
that's kind of like more sad, I think, is when I meet people like that it's like maybe they do want to get out, but they don't even know what they would do if they got out. So what do you say to soldiers that are like kind of in that mode?
Thankfully, I've had very good soldiers who have listened to majority of the advice that I give them.
What's that advice? Like stay in school?
One, if they do want a successful career, if not getting an education, which I do recommend because the Army will pay for it.
Right.
Then find skills that one you love to do or something that you truly believe that you would benefit from but still enjoy. Honestly, it's just making the most of the situations you're in. And I think the Army has taught us that very well.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true.
Whether it's been in field training exercises or on the road working law enforcement, it's definitely taught us to make the most of the situations that we're in. And if you
Yeah.
don't know how to do that, then honestly, you need a really good support system if
Yeah,
you
'cause
don't know how to make the most of whatever situation you're in. And that's for any job, not just the military.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. Well, that's kind of like a life
Yeah.
thing too, a maturity thing. But so I'm glad you're excited to get out.
I am. I'm not getting out fully. The plan is once I'm about to get out, I'll be enlisting in the National Guard.
Okay.
And in the meantime, I'll be going HPD, the academy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Congrats. That'll be awesome.
But the end goal is to enlist in an active duty position with the National Guard.
Oh,
So that way,
okay.
because ultimately, I still want to retire early, you know,
Okay.
and work on continuing to pay the homes.
So you're not
that
going to
I
get
own.
100% out of that specific, just the active duty.
I'll be getting out of regular big army.
Got it.
But
I think that'd be a good transition.
yeah, if I can manage to swing an active duty position with the National Guard, because every National Guard unit has them.
Yeah.
It's like the best kept secret of the Army.
Right.
If I can manage to swing one of those, then I can still ride my 20, but I'd
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah. That'd be smart. I thought long and hard about it.
Going AGR.
Yeah, just anything else tied in. I just couldn't. Yeah, I just had to do the complete separation. But mostly because I knew I was going to be doing stuff like this, where I was going to be on a podcast or writing books and things like that. And I thought it would probably be better to not have that control over me.
Yeah,
You know what
that
I'm
makes
saying?
sense.
Yeah, to just be more fully separated from it.
It is very restricting.
It's restricting, and it's hard because there are a lot of things I believe in and a lot of things I don't believe in. And I just feel like I couldn't be part of that entity. I couldn't be part of the government and then talk about all the stuff I didn't believe in. You know, and there are people that do it. There's a YouTube guy that's in the military, and
It's quite a few of them.
There's quite a few. He basically is, because I feel like it's one or the other. You'll either be successful on the outside world because he's on YouTube, like really telling the truth, and that's great. But in his military career, he's basically stunted because no one's gonna promote him more and give him all these positions with.
It's a double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged sword for sure. And so I was just like, I'm gonna move on from this chapter more for me. But I'm just happy that you're gonna be here on island, and then maybe when you become a Honolulu Police Department officer, you can come on again, and I can be like, dude, what's going on in the streets?
Hopefully that'll be just temporary. Because like I said, I do want to get that active duty position.
Yeah.
But never know.
they're offering like 25K bonuses right now if you join HPD.
They are offering quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
And plus us being MPs. Granted, our training doesn't really transition over well, but I do have that experience.
But
of working
going
the
to the
road.
academy after doing all the stuff that we did in the military is going to be cakewalk.
Yeah,
It's really just going to be like studying for the written test. And
Yeah.
then you can't cheat a psychological test. You just got to do that normally. So that's the only thing really to do. And then they do the physical stuff,
Yep.
and that's easy.
That's
easy
every
if
day.
you've done, army physical fitness tests. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. It's something that I'm
You have options.
really looking forward to.
You have
now.
options.
That's something I didn't realize was going to be a problem is I have too many options.
Well, it's better to have too many though.
It's better to have too many, but I didn't think it
That's
would be...
a good problem to have.
Yes, I didn't think it'd
Too
be
many
a problem.
blessings.
Too many blessings, yes. That's
Yeah.
the way I've been trying to look at it.
Yeah.
Renewing my mind every single day with that. And I'm starting to become more at peace and happy with the decision. So
Good.
I'm looking forward to getting out.
I think that was a big thing for me. I think majority of my thought process around that decision about getting out was me kind of trying to find out about myself. Like, if I do make this choice, will I be able to have that peace with it? Like, will I? Because I like to make decisions and know that when I make this conscious decision, I'm not going to go back on it or regret it, things like that.
Yeah.
And like you said, you love the military. There are a lot of things I really loved about the military. And it, unfortunately, 99% of the time when I talk about the military, it sounds really negative, but it's just kind of like that thing, you know, when people ask you about your life, and sometimes you can only think about like the bad, not as much as the good. But when I do think about like a lot of my homies and my friends, like people I still keep in touch with, we have so many amazingly good memories. So it's not all bad.
Yeah.
It's not all bad. And there's a lot that I loved about it. And there were some of the cool things that we did when they had like a Warfighter Week or whatever,
yeah.
and like that. Some of the stuff that they organized was really good. Like I feel like if you fully immerse yourself in the things that they try to have you do in the military, that can help, because those groups are designed to help you. Unfortunately, there's always going to be a leader or somebody anywhere and everywhere that you might not get along with and things like that, right? But I think that immersing yourself in like these groups where they try to like do these teams or like team sports and like things
Most
like that.
definitely.
Yeah, I think that helps. And that's what I tried to do when I was in. And I think a lot of that did help, you know, but
Thankfully,
it's not for everybody.
It's definitely is not for everyone. And I will say, I did have my short stint of being that basic negative person in the military, but it took time, and I finally realized how much influence I do have. Even just as at the position I'm at, I still have impacted so many people that I didn't realize I was impacting, just
Right.
in the way that I carried myself,
Yeah.
and still carry myself. And I realized if I can be that change, no matter how small it is, I mean, I'll make the most of, like I said before, whatever situation I'm in. And thankfully, I still have soldiers to this day, because right now I'm in a position where I don't have any soldiers, but I still have soldiers reaching out to me every single day because of the influence that I had on them when I was their leader. And it just encourages me so much, knowing that not all leaders are going to be, you know, that negative person
Right.
and driving you down, making your life miserable.
Yeah.
And it makes me
yeah.
happy knowing that I'm not the only one. There's other people who are trying to be the change and better the lives of the soldiers under them.
Yeah, that's good. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of really good people that are still in the military, you know? I mean, you're getting out, unfortunately, so the military is losing someone good. But that's why I introduced you as someone who is the embodiment of the Aloha Spirit, because even though you're not born and raised here, right? You grew up in San Diego. You're not even born and raised here. But like, out of all the like local people and people that I've met that have come here, like I feel like you've really embodied that well. And the Aloha Spirit is that like continuous positivity that you have. You know what I'm saying? Like, where does that come from for you?
For me, that's
Did you have that before you lived here? Or
most
like,
definitely.
Okay. It's part of you.
You can ask anyone from back home, or even anyone I've started off in the military with. Like, I have been like this for as long as I can remember. I would say it's toned down a lot.
I'm happy,
or
guys.
I would say it's toned down a lot, or at least I've controlled it better, because there were times where I was just way too joyful, to the point where it's like, this dude needs to like relax. Like, this is too much
Everyone's
happy.
like mad at you because you're
Yeah,
too happy.
exactly. But for me, that comes from growing up Christian, growing up in a faith-filled house. And a lot of people think, oh, religion, you got to follow the rules. You can't do this, and this. I don't think of it as religion. For me, it's a friendship. He calls Jesus Christ is the one who saved my life. And it's because of the way that he lived that I think if he loved everyone, even when he was getting made fun of, mocked, all these things, why can't I? And it's that life of love that he embodies that I try to live out every single day. And it brings me joy. It's what makes me so happy every day, even in the Army where people say it sucks every single day. Like,
Yeah, I feel like, you know, it's kind of like your perception, you know what I mean?
oh
Like,
yeah, it's all mentality and how you take
it's-
it.
Yeah, because I would realize that too, you know. That's sometimes I would be like, man, it's not even really the Army. It's really just our attitude sometimes.
Exactly.
You know.
Attitude and your mindset will
Yeah,
impact
attitude is everything.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And I tried to tell my soldiers that every single day. Hopefully they're taking that well and making the most of wherever they're at now. But I can only do so much, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where my joy comes from. And it's really pushed me to do bigger and greater things every single day. And I just give him all the credit.
That's really good. When did you start going to church?
I grew up in the church. I grew up in a Southern Baptist church called Mesa View Baptist in San Diego for as long as I can remember. I went to a Christian preschool, but that's like the only Christian school I ever went to. Went to public school after that. And I've been going every single day for as long as I can remember. And I started attending Inspire Church here in Hawaii, and that has become my home.
Inspire is amazing. Yeah, they're really amazing. Yeah, so that's interesting. I like to talk about that because you know Curvon,
Yep.
right? And well, he goes to Inspire as well.
Yes, he does.
And Curvon was on the podcast, and we talked about God a lot. And I like to ask people just because from my perspective, I grew up going to Catholic church.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, it just kind of was like an automatic thing. Like we just went. And
Check the box sign.
I mean, my dad took it seriously for sure, so I didn't really feel like it was like that. Obviously, when you're a kid, you don't really understand like everything that's going on, and Catholic's a little more traditional, so there's a lot more like sitting up and standing and all this stuff that I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But I just remember like my aunties were always there, and they were very like devout Catholic. Like, you know, my aunties were like singing in the choir and stuff, you know, like now that I look back, I'm like, dang, they were super involved in the church, you know. But I just ask, and I like to ask people like what their perceptions were, because I didn't really feel like I had really like a choice over that kind of stuff until I was older. Obviously, I had like a period of time where I just rejected it for a while, which I feel like is mostly normal. And then
absolutely.
I kind of like came back in my own way, and that, you know, Inspire actually helped me a lot with that. And then I got baptized on the beach with Inspire, which is really nice. And I think that was around 2019 or 2020ish, around there.
Nice.
But yeah, that was around there. But I like to like kind of see what was your perception as a kid versus when you started getting older, and
I think
more of an understanding of like the stories, you know? Because when you're a kid and someone tells you about like Jesus dying and all this stuff, like I just felt like it was really like
it's a lot,
kind of weird and confusing. I was like, I don't understand what that means, but you know, like just
for me,
it seems weird.
Growing up, I will say I definitely didn't understand everything. But growing up in the community and environment that I did, like my mom never forced it on us,
That's
but
good.
she did bring us to church, and that community of people were always so loving, and they went extremely out of their way to help those in need, and they always.
So you really just saw the examples of like being a good person.
Yeah, I
and,
saw
like,
the values that they were
selflessness.
living, founded from what they learned from reading the Bible or listening to church sermons, and they were living out those things that they learned, and that is what really stood out to me. And before I learned anything like technical, that's what stood out the most. And I definitely did have my point where I strayed away. That was a very dark time, I will say. But I came back, and that lifestyle of like true generosity and giving and loving on others, no matter what the circumstance, that's what like appealed to me and has helped me thrive so much in just life in general.
Yeah,
in all aspects.
Do you want to talk about that dark period a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I
what
will
you were going through.
always share it because one, it's part of me, and it's part of the story that I can tell people. Like, yeah, I might be this joyous guy, but I had a moment in life where, and I could tell you the exact date. It was August, September of 2019. I was stationed in Fort Bliss, Texas. That's in El Paso. And I had just come back from Korea, and I was going through a really bad stint of poor leadership, poor work environment. We were getting worked nonstop, and I was just getting physically burnt to the point where I was too tired to go to church. I was too tired to go to the community that I found out there. And being disconnected from that support group really started wearing on me, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. And after all that was going on, one of my best friends at the time, out of the blue, just cut me off. I don't know what I did to to cause that, and that didn't help at all either. And then I got to a point where I was extremely just depressed, and I never thought I would hit a point like that in my life.
Wow.
And I was harming myself. I have scars from what I did to myself, and there was even a point where I strongly considered taking my own life. And in that moment, though, it was very late. I want to say about 10-11 p.m. I had a blade to my... Sorry if this is really dark.
No, you're fine.
But I had a blade to my chest, and I was ready to full send it. And that's was a moment I heard God, clear as day, just say, drop it. And I couldn't help but drop the knife, and I fell to tears. I was in tears, realizing like I needed him. And from that day forward, that was a testimony that I was happy to share with people who are going through very similar situations, because you and I both know as well, too well in the military, that there are many people going through dark times like that, and we don't even see it. I think
a big part of it in the military, is that, and probably the first really hard part of the equation is that when you get stationed somewhere that you're not from, you're already in a brand new environment.
Isolation.
It sounds like things are piling on for you. So not only were you going through a lot of difficult things like at work, which is that's your day to day when you're full time, obviously active duty, is the people that you're around every day to day are the people you mostly interact with. And if there are toxic people or horrible leaders, it really starts impacting your day in and day out.
Oh, most definitely.
And it's really obvious to see which soldiers, what their moods are. It's really obvious, because the first thing we do every morning is do a workout.
Yeah.
So you can kind of tell which people, like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty observant, so like I can kind of tell, you know what I mean? But yeah, it sounds like in a situation like that too, well, what I was really, my whole bigger point was that when you're away from family too, like just the distance mentally, I think, and I'm lucky and super blessed that my entire career was here in Hawaii. Not everybody can say that, so there's so many things, even though I have my gripes, there are so many amazing things that I've had within my career that I'm super thankful for. And mostly for my family, because when I came out here, my dad passed away right away. And so I was able to remain here, for my family and my mom, who's now a widow, So for me, being able to be here now, that's something I didn't have, right? A struggle that I didn't have that you had in Texas was my family's here.
Yeah.
So if I have a stressful day, I can go to my sister's house and go sleep on her couch and talk about it, And
I just had my barracks room.
You just had your, and then you feel really alone. It's really, even though you aren't, you feel like you are. You know what I mean? That's why these guys get on video games to feel connected, or whatever. But tell me more about like what that experience was for you, like hearing like essentially the voice of God, what you're saying, like in that moment.
It was
obviously there's other stories like that,
very
but this is
surreal.
Your own personal story.
I was alone in my room. My roommate, our rooms are separated, but my roommate wasn't even there. He was on leave, so it was literally just me in the barracks room. And right as I was about to push that blade into my chest, almost as if someone was standing right next to me. I heard say,
Wow.
"Drop it," and it literally put the fear of God in me because I was like, "Who's in here?" And I
Yeah.
realized, oh man, what am I doing? Like, I'm being extremely dumb right now. And I realized I have that support, but I wasn't making the time to, one, rest, and then two, go out and ask for the help that I needed. But it was a very surreal experience. It was literally as if someone was in the room with me, but there was no
That's
one in that
creepy.
barracks room.
Wow. That's creepy.
Yeah, it sounds creepy for sure. But in that moment, I actually felt extremely like overwhelmed with like reassurance and love
Yeah.
when I heard those words. So it was a experience I definitely will never forget,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. There's no way.
an experience I definitely will use to relate with those that are going through hard times in the military.
What were your I don't know, like steps you think in the beginning to kind of pull yourself out of that?
Um,
Do you just feel like you just snapped out of it, like
in
in
that
that
moment,
moment?
I remember dropping to my knees, and then I was begging God for forgiveness, and after that, I already felt a wave of just like peace. And the following day, I told my work I need to take a day off. I have to, and
Wow.
that's not really a common thing you do in the army. You can't just
Yeah.
take a
Yeah.
day
You don't
off.
just call in sick.
No. But when I told them, I was just up in front, open with them. I told them what happened last night. And they were like, "All right, take the day off, but you need to go see someone." And so I took that time to go to the community that I had built out there, the church community, and they just reassured,
Tell them you're struggling.
yeah, everything about me. They comforted me. They even let me stay over at their houses,
Wow.
because I didn't want to be alone.
Yeah. I think that's probably the first step in a situation like that, is to not let you be alone,
Yeah.
which they say is the best way to prevent that kind of thing. Well, thank God you're here.
I know.
I'm glad I'm glad God stopped you,
I'm very thankful because I wouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Because back then when I couldn't manage the time, now I've learned to manage my time in such an amazing way that I'm doing all these things. I'm helping run production at Inspire. I'm lifeguarding when I can. I'm playing music at different spots across the island. It's
Yeah.
incredible now. Like,
Yeah, well, I think
full
that's
180.
yeah, full 180. But I think when you have such an imbalance, it can drag you down. And then when you start feeling more positive, it's kind of like that. It's like that circle of life, feeling in a way. Like once it all starts coming together, it all starts coming together.
Yeah.
And it's a constant like struggle for the balance. You know what I mean?
I feel once you do learn what to take away from those situations, though, the next time around, because it will happen, you're gonna have your moments, your down moments. If you do take away the things that you should and need to learn from those moments, the next time it comes around, you're better equipped. You're better. You're ready to handle it a little better. Granted, not saying it's gonna be easy,
Yeah.
but at least for me and other people that I know at church, they are definitely better equipped from their previous like moments of depression, moments of struggle,
Yeah.
for the next round that comes about, because
Right.
we're always going to be struggling. That's like,
Well, life is hard.
yeah.
Life is hard. And I think, I was reminding some people, some friends and stuff, it's okay to not be okay.
Oh,
You know? And
100%.
I think people need to hear that more, that it's okay to not be okay. And when you aren't feeling, you're not, you aren't like feeling your best, and you're like, it even happens to me, you know what I mean? Luckily I don't stay in that place for
Yeah.
long, but when I am there, gosh, it sucks, and but it really does always kind of bring me back to God, because and for me, when I was going through a really tough time and I started going back to church, I mean, clearly I needed it, and it was funny because when I first went back, like I think the first 2 times I went back to church, I was just like crying, like bawling, you know what I mean? Because I think you just like I think I was just overcome with realizing like I'm not the only person that suffers or is suffering. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then like you kind of for some reason whenever we get sad or depressed, like we think we're the only ones that are feeling it, you know? And then when I went to church, it was just like I was the only one openly bawling my eyes out, but everybody was like, "Yeah, dude, same." And was like, "We're sad too." And was just like patting me, you know, like, you're good, you know? And that for me spiritually, like that helped me more because I was like, yeah, I did feel supported, you know? And I felt like the messages on those 2 times I went to church too were like literally written for me. Like I feel like, you know, God was like, "Oh, Lucy's coming today. We got to make sure we put all the shit she needs to hear in the sermon," you know? And I'm sitting there like looking around like, was this programmed for me? Like, this is creepy.
Who said
because
something?
I was well, during the time that this happened, like I was going through a divorce, you know? And I went and I didn't even go to a church that I ever went to. One of my buddies invited me, and I think it was like New Hope, and it was like at the movie theater. And I was like, "What? I didn't even know they had services at the movie theater." And so I'm like, "So first of all, that sounds fun." And so I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll come." And I went, and then I'm over here like at this new church, but knowing nobody, crying. But I knew I ran into like a couple people I knew. Just because I'm born and raised here, so like I know everyone, someone eventually somewhere. But yeah, it was interesting. I was like, okay, wait, I don't even go to this church. I'm here, and like I'm just like overcome with all these emotions. But I was going through such a hard time at that time that like I needed that so badly. So I'm really glad one of my friends, Will, invited me, and I'm like really glad that he invited me because I was like, dude, I really needed to hear that. But everything that guy said, like that guy was literally talking about, it was like he was literally talking about like marriage and love and all this. Like it was really relevant to what I was going through, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like I needed to hear this right now in this moment, and it was insane.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like in my own way, even though I've had like obviously God's never came and talked to me. I feel like I've had like moments where like I've had a lot of realizations, you know. So it's
I will say
similar.
that everyone thinks when someone says they hear from God, it's supposed to be like this Morgan Freeman voice, you know, talking to them. And I will absolutely say no. Like that
It's
is
Bruce
not
Almighty.
Exactly. It is not that way at all, and it's gonna be different for everyone. Because that was the one exception. That dark time, that was the one time I heard it clear as day. But most of the time, for me, when I say like, yeah, I heard from God, it wasn't Him speaking directly to me.
Right.
It was through something happening in my everyday life.
Yeah. It was, I mean, when I look back and think about it, it was really my own voice, I guess, in a way. It was me realizing like I had the answers all along, I guess, right? Because if you think about the way I was raised, like my dad took me to church all the time, right? So I'm being exposed to, you know, Catholicism, whatever. And then as I got into church, going through that difficult time, I was going to Inspire, Inspire at Milani, and I mean, it helped me in such an incredible way. You know, continuing to go, like hearing other things of inspiration. It more so, it filled me so good spiritually that I just like was like everything's gonna be fine. Like you just know, you know,
Yeah.
you're like God's got me, I'm good. Like everything's fine. Like you really just leave like thinking that you're good. Like you don't even, and it's kind of like giving all your stresses away to God, right? Like
Absolutely.
I don't have to stress, which is like, that's why when I asked you like, yeah, are you excited to get out? And you're like, yeah, you're more excited now. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like you're going to be led to wherever you're supposed to be, you know?
Majority of the time, when we start to worry, it's our own selves getting in our way.
Yeah.
Like we just get in our head, and we just need to like stop stressing. There's no need.
I prayed a lot. You know, I did pray a lot, especially with trying to decide if I wanted to get out. And I was like, you know, if this doesn't work out, that's my sign. If this is my sign. And things kept going in a way where I was like, well, then I'm gonna get out. You know what I mean? So I felt like if God put in front of me another reason to stay in, like I would have probably stayed. And I felt like he was kind of telling me like, no, you got to get out. And I think I made the right choice. And every like 3 days, when I think about being out in the field and sleeping on the ground, and then it starts slowly drizzling, I'm like, yeah, fuck that.
All right, this is going to be a very, like, a lot of people don't like me for this answer or actually don't believe me, but I love the field. I don't
not love the field. There are, the field's not, it's not, for me, it's not an ultimate love or hate. It's not that. There are certain things about
being in the field that just absolutely suck.
No, there's certain things about
because there are those
leaders making us do certain things that are completely unnecessary that annoyed the hell out of me.
Okay.
So the reason we were even sleeping on the ground was because I think it was like our battalion commander or something at the time was like, oh, this looks too easy for them. Yeah. Oh, you guys have struggled in this way? Oh, okay. Like we literally had all our tents set up. And he goes, yeah, that's real. I like that. It looks great. And we're like, thanks. And he's like, yeah, but you're not going to sleep over there. You guys are just going to just go sleep not there. And I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, I just put my tent up. So we were forced to make it extra hard for us. We were forced to just sleep anywhere we could find. So I already made like a fighting position, which was basically a foxhole, like over this hill. And it had like, it was dope because like this tree like overhangs so much that it basically blocked a lot of like, you couldn't even see me. So it was like perfect, right? Perfect fighting position. But then I dug the hole so deep that overhang tree just like covered and like people couldn't even see me when they were walking this way.
Oh, that's
on
perfect.
The other side of the tree. I was Gucci. No one even knew I was there. But everyone wanted to sleep in my foxhole because they're like, dude, you made it. And I was like, wait, I got room for one person only. This isn't going to be a campsite over here. But it was, so at least I had a clutch spot, you know, but I was like, damn, man, there are bugs and stuff around here, man. I don't know what's crawling on me.
Centipedes.
My tent's right over there, and I can't sleep in it. So I don't know. I mean, there are certain things, but
okay, yeah, those kind of moments suck. Absolutely.
When or when it's hot and you're walking 55 miles to go take a pee somewhere.
Yeah.
Like
I will say those moments suck. But I don't know the moments, the teaching moments and opportunities that I have and the bonds that I've created in the field.
Yeah.
That's
next level.
Those outweigh those horrible moments for me, at least.
Yeah.
Those outweigh because the soldiers
I'd rather
that
be
I have
in
now,
the field than Pahakaloa.
Yeah. That training area was an experience for sure. I would love to go as a visitor, as a tourist.
No, I don't want to.
But I would not go back as a soldier in training. That was I'm good. I pass. But the bonds that I've made with my troops in those sucky moments, I will never forget, and I'm very thankful for them. But that is why I love the field.
Okay. You guys, you heard it here first. The first psychopath that we've had on our podcast that likes the field. No, I'm just kidding. No, well, before we go, because we have a couple minutes left, but before we go, do you have any words of inspiration or advice for soldiers that come to Hawaii? Station, maybe they came to Hawaii first duty station.
If this is
some advice,
a first time duty station, and even for those PCSing and coming here for the first time, by PCSing I say moving from another duty station, I would say, like anywhere you go, not just in the Army, make the most of the situation that you're in and take what you can. Start asking questions. If one leader isn't providing you the answers, go to another leader. My philosophy as a sergeant is, as a sergeant, I'm not called to just help the soldiers that are under me. I'm called to help all soldiers who need help. And so if other sergeants aren't living that way, then they're wrong. That's my personal belief. So
Right,
ask
right.
other leaders, find the help you need, get the questions you need answered, and whatever that takes, whatever that looks like, do it to make the most of the situation you're in. And
good.
don't let your first duty station influence your whole Army career. Because, yes, I'm going to be honest with you, Hawaii is an absolutely horrible place to get stationed for the first time. Horrible place. For someone coming out.
It's not real Army.
No, it's not real Army. Someone coming from like mainland, all right, then you might manage a little better. But for first timers,
it's gonna be weird. You're gonna be like,
Yeah.
no one's standing at parade arrest for anyone.
yeah,
But
for first timers,
not.
ask the questions you need to make your life successful. And if one person's not providing those answers, go to another person until you get the answers you need. That's my advice.
I like that. That's good advice. Well, thank you for the advice. I appreciate you being on the podcast.
Thank you for
Thanks
having me.
Thank you for telling us your difficult story and kind of what led you to God. I think hopefully it'll inspire people. Hopefully, anyone out there that's dealing with any of that, depression, or if you have had any experiences or you are dealing with anything involving suicidal tendencies and things like that, please know that we would rather you be here than not.
Absolutely.
And life is hard. We all are having it hard in some way or another. And I just think that some belief in a higher power and some just knowing that like we're all going through stuff and it's gonna be okay. I think hopefully that'll help and inspire you. And I appreciate you sharing your story.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you
you.
again for having me.
So before we head out, I'm just going to shout out a couple things. I wanted to shout out Rip Fitness. Thank you so much for these awesome shorts. Loved working out there yesterday. Absolutely shredded my legs. Thank you to Brian Hunley. If you want to train with him, I'll be able to log his Instagram in the description. And he's on we did like a 2-part podcast with Brian, so you'll be able to see that soon. And then my last shout out is to Wolfpack Adventures. Thank you so much for taking care of Nobu. You guys are awesome. I ended up running into them at the Pineapple Festival. By the way, we should do the Pineapple Festival next year, since you're still going to be here.
The run?
It's the run. And you get a pineapple after. It's like the most aloha
Yeah, but I live
thing.
down the road from like Dole Plantation.
Dude, so we're doing it next year.
Okay, well, if it's you, then yes, I'll do it.
Yeah. All right. So next year, me and Luis are going to be doing the Pineapple Festival run. If you want to join us, I'm really
I can't
jealous.
back out now. I just
Really
realized.
jealous that I didn't do it this year. But it was amazing. I got to meet a lot of amazing people. Rian Mancho was emceeing it, so it was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for tuning into this podcast. Please subscribe, like, and you can follow Luis. I'll post all his stuff in the description. Thank you so much for watching Lucy's Paradise Podcast.